Welcome to That Digital Take. I'm your host, Torri Webster. Hello, party people. Welcome back to the pod. Yes, this will be an engagement-themed episode. There's new hardware that has joined us on this adventure. But before we begin and get into all of that jazz, some very hot tea has landed on my desk this morning, and I must discuss this. So I have been doing a lot of consignment shopping, which you guys know. I've been, tooting VSP on Dundas. Like, they do an amazing job of curating fabulous designer items. And in the spirit of also trying to cleanse my closet while also finding iconic new items, I have been dropping things off to donate them and to consign them. And I dropped off a bunch of bags, and I got a text from one of the coordinators this morning, and she's like, "Hey, Torri, this is a little uncomfortable, but I got to let you know, like, one of the Prada bags that you gave us came back as fake because they put all of their products through a third-party verification process to make sure that what they're selling is in fact what they say it is." And I love that. Like, I'm glad they're doing the extra step to make sure that everyone's giving them real stuff. But when you are the one caught red-handed with fake stuff, you're like, what do you mean? Like, I was always under the impression this bag was real. So I kind of was imagining where I bought it. I'm like, did I buy this at a Prada store? Like, you're always aware of the purchases you've had, or the ones that like maybe might be fake, or the ones that are real. And I was always very sure that that specific Prada bag was real. So I'm like, I got to go back into my archives and figure out where this came from. So I go and I do a little search in my Gmail, and I'm like, nylon Prada, and like it pulls up a thread from 2019. Turns out I had done a collaboration with another kind of vintage reseller bag program back in 2019, and in exchange for content was gifted this Prada bag. Yeah, pause for dramatic effect, because what the hell? So that basically means I was paid in fake goods and services. And so I'm pissed, and I'm not 100% sure my course of action here. Like, you're really catching me in the moment that this all went down, because I literally just got all these texts as I walked into the studio door. I think my next course of action, before I absolutely blow up their spot and tell you who these dirty fools are that have done me wrong, I think what I'm going to do is write them and kind of give them a chance to either, one, pay me back, or two, let me have another bag that is real? ? I don't know. I don't know what I'm expecting out of this. And it also was 2019. So what are the odds that, like, one, they remember me, or two, they still answer their emails? Who knows? But I'm so annoyed. What would you guys do about this? This is a really weird situation. And I wrote to the VSP people, and I'm like, is this normal? And she was like, you'd be surprised. Like, I think people buy things from resellers all the time that end up being counterfeit. So anyways, watch your wallets, folks, and don't spend money on things unless they are verified real, because that is just a piss off. Anyways, you might also be wondering, before, again, we get into the engagement lore of everything, why is Torri so calm today? Why is she in such flow state? Why is she vibing on such a high vibrational level? Thank you so much for noticing. Well, this morning I did this thing called Supernatural. Now, I get a lot of media invites, as you guys know. Like, it'll be like new hotspots opening around the city. And typically what will end up happening is they invite a bunch of influencers into their like media preview day, and you kind of get a taste of, either the experience or the setting or, whatever it might be. And so in this particular case, this is a new wellness hub opening in Yorkville. It actually took over where the old Soul Cycle used to be. If you're familiar with the building there, where it's like the Whole Foods, it used to be a Soul Cycle. Now it's Supernatural. So they took over a massive space. And it's just opened recently, and they had their media preview this morning. So I said yes to going, because normally these things can be a little bit like dragged out and not very VIP, but it was like, oh, you're going to get to like really try and get a taste test and test drive all of the cool, unique, new, like ultra human kind of like biohacking machines that they have in this new location. So I go this morning. Did I not have the most awakening experience of life? It was so fabulous. I did 30 minutes in an oxygen chamber. Then I did 30 minutes on this like vibrational like plate like thing, and kind of targets different areas of your body on the cellular level, from what I understand. Again, I'm no expert. This is just like what I experienced. I did 30 minutes in that. I did 3 minutes in the cryotherapy like studio, which is a small little cryotherapy lounging, and it just blows freezing cold air on you, and you wear little mittens and you look like crazy. But it was actually also really cool. And what I liked about it is they gave you music. And for me, I can do anything hard as long as I have like a good Taylor Swift song in my head. So I love a cold plunge, but I love a cold plunge solo where I can listen to music versus like doing a class-led thing. So similar experience to this. I just put my headphones on, which they gave me, which was great. And then it was all connected to Bluetooth, and I got to like jam out to music for 3 minutes. You freeze your butt off, and then you come out and you kind of like let your body reset. And then I did 15 minutes in the red light therapy room. Beautiful. I love red light. There's different ways you can also activate. There was like red and blue light, which was like cleansing. There was all red, which was restorative. So again, really kind of targeting and changing your wellness practice based on how you were feeling that day or kind of what you were after. Now, they also gave me glitothione, words I can't say, shots. I got shots in both arms, so they're kind of sore, but still vibing, feeling great. And then the final thing, and really the hero, the pièce de résistance of my experience, there was a little room called the Reset Room. Now, this is brand new. They said it's the only one that exists in Canada. I feel like everyone I know now has to go experience this chair. It basically is like a chair that feels like it's supported in space. So you feel completely weightless. You go into a dark room, you put glasses on and headphones on, and you kind of lie into this weightless chair. And what happens next is very hard to explain. The chair starts to vibrate. It's all about going back into your parasympathetic nervous system. So activating the vagus nerve, finding like inner peace, and really kind of allowing all those layers that I guess they kind of say you work on in therapy, but all of those layers that are stored within your body through light, music, and vibration. Crazy. So you're in this like chair. It's probably a 15-minute journey, I guess is what I would call it by the time it's over. Very interesting. And they say it's almost similar to taking psychedelic drugs, which retweet, like it definitely felt that way. Your eyes start to almost like flicker. You see red, pink, green, and it goes fast and then it goes slow. And then like you almost feel like you're just tripping out, but it starts to like unlock weird memories, and then different sounds will happen, and like a wave will crash and the whole like chair will vibrate. It is wild. Like it's terrible for me to try to describe it to you because it's just such a full body sensory experience, but I've never felt more incredible. So I had to share feedback on this new Reset chair, I guess is what it's called, the Reset chair. Anyway, it's at Supernatural in Toronto. If you're at all interested, I've already called friends as I left, and I was like, guys, this has unlocked everything for me. Like I have tapped into my full potential and all of my talents once more. And I just feel great about that. So I've already been shouting it from the rooftop. So it's really cool when you get experiences like that, where it is 10 out of 10 and you feel really confident to kind of like share and spread the news about a new hotspot. So anyways, that is kind of the recap of all the goodness happening behind the scenes. But now I know why you are all here. The engagement recap. Obviously, I'm thrilled, so excited. It's just been such a magical couple of weeks. It's, I guess, been a week and a bit since we got engaged, and brands, friends, like everyone has just been so incredible. Like at one point it looked like we were living in a funeral home because there were so many florals, and I was like, this is getting out of hand. But Moet and Chandon sent us champagne. Like just everyone's been so incredible, and it's been so nice celebrating this magical time. So to go backwards to kind of give you guys a little bit of context, because the last episode that went live before this, we were talking about our 10-year anniversary. And, that week I was kind of thinking maybe something would happen. But again, like I really took a back seat. I had tried on rings maybe like a handful of times, and only one time with Adam. And that was kind of in the end of summer, fall timeline. But again, like I said, I wanted to take a back seat. I have friends that like to be very involved in the engagement or proposal, situation. I wanted, this is the one time guys can kind of show you their, love and kind of profess their love in their own creative way. And so I just wanted it to come from Adam and be authentic to him. And I didn't want to like influence or infiltrate what that would look like. So all that being said, he had been working on the ring for over a year, which is just like insane. He had met with a jeweler through a mutual friend. Like the jeweler actually slid into his DMs, which I thought was pretty funny. And she was like, I don't mean to be presumptuous, but like any chance you're looking to get engaged within the year. And Adam had a mutual friend that works in film with him. And he was like, oh my God, like I'd love to meet you. So they hit it off. And Alexandra Mann, shout out to our jeweler. She was so incredible and really helped Adam bring everything to life. And he's such a perfectionist. Like he sourced the diamond with her. And then, yeah, so it just goes to show like all the effort that he was putting in behind the scenes and just even all the little details of the ring. He kind of did like a northwest setting as opposed to like the spider prong setting because like I hate spiders. So, and again, these are things I would have never told him, but just funny that he knew that and kept that in mind in the design process. He also put a little engraving in the ring, like very small engraving at the bottom with like a little heart, and also our birthstone colors on either side. So it's May and August. So just like small little beautiful details that make my ring unique and my own. And that's just so nice. Not to say that I wouldn't have wanted something that, like, I love that it's custom, but I was open to anything. But I think the fact that he went the extra mile to get things customized, it just like meant the world to me. In terms of the actual engagement, like I said, the 10-year was approaching. I was like, it was like sort of top of mind that like it could be the timeline, but like friends and family and even him were doing things to kind of throw me off / distract me. So I wasn't really ever sure. When we went out for our 10-year anniversary, we like did a staycation in Toronto and went to the W Hotel and kind of had this whole like Toronto night out. And I thought maybe it would happen that night because like obviously friends and family would be in Toronto. And then it didn't happen. And then he gave me like a gift to go to Europe in like December. And I was like, oh, like, okay, maybe we'll get engaged in Europe. So like he was really doing everything to like plant seeds in different directions. Don't worry, that trip was actually completely fake. It was literally just it was a mole to try to like make me confused and think what was happening. Once we actually got engaged, she's like, by the way, like that trip is not happening. I was like, fair enough. But it was funny because it worked. It totally confused me and distracted me from what was actually happening. And what was actually happening was that I thought I was going on a press trip to Quebec City. Now, this kind of goes back because I don't know if I talked about this on our 10-year pod, but we took our first trip to Quebec together 9 years ago. It was like the first trip we ever took as a couple. So we had really fond memories of the Fairmont Frontenac, which is like the castle hotel that we stayed at all those years ago. And there's like a particular bar in the Fairmont that's like really special to us. And like we had really fun date nights there all those years ago. And we've talked about it in recent times being like, wow, like to how far we've come and, you know, all those moments that we got to share 9 years ago and how fun would it be to share those again. And the reason it all kind of like went over my head / like was very believable is a lot of my friends work in PR, as you guys know. And one of my friends, Rob, who has been a friend of the pod, he's been on the pod before. He actually does the PR for the Fairmont. So he planted a seed with me like months ago, like Friendsgiving vibes. He was like, yeah, like, you know, I think we're doing a staycation with some influencers in November. Like, would you want to do that? Like, I think it's in Ottawa. And like, he seemed a bit confused, which almost made it even more believable because like you have to imagine like these are like partners of the PR firm. Like they're often getting like interns or other coordinators to deal with the communication or the trip planning. So the fact that he was like a bit confused / like, yeah, I think it's Ottawa. And then like kind of was like, oh wait, maybe it's Quebec. Sorry. But like, I'll get like the interns to reach out to you. Like it was all very believable because I was just like, oh, okay. Like, yeah, like Rob is working with the Fairmont and Adam and I are going to get to go on this cute little trip. So unbeknownst to me, he had everyone in on this plan. And so, of course, they're all kind of like fooling me in all these different directions, which is hilarious. We finally arrive and we go on the trip and we go to check into the Fairmont. And like I said, I think I'm fully on a press trip. So I'm like ordering the black car because I think I'm billing it back to the brand. I'm like upgrading our room. Like, meanwhile, he's like smiling, like looking at me like, amazing. Like my Amex is just getting absolutely rinsed right now, which is so funny. And so we go to check in and the guy at the Fairmont's like, oh, Miss Webster, like, I'm so sorry. Like I actually only have a reservation for you for one night. And I was like, I'm definitely on like a 2-night press trip, like me trying to be like, hello. And he's like, okay, like, let me just double check. Like, I definitely only have you booked in for one night. And I'm like, all right, I can reach out to the PR team. And he's like, okay, like, who do you have on email file there? And Adam's kind of like standing off to the side, but like is now noticing that like things are going awry. And I'm like, oh, okay, I have Rob at like, you know, I say his email. I'm like, I've got Rob's email. And then the guy at the Fairmont's like, oh, like I have a Megan. and he had my other best friend Megan's email on file. So this is like a bit of a obviously yellow flag potentially, because I'm like, okay, they work at 2 separate agencies. Like, why would her email be on file? But I'm also trying to like be cautious. Like if Adam is trying to surprise me with something, I don't want it to come across like I've like ruined something. So I just say to Adam, I'm like, oh, I'm sure that like Megan was just trying to send us champagne or something for our 10-year anniversary, which is like very normal for her. Like she's that type of friend. Like she would like send something to the room or like something celebratory. And they all knew we were going on this trip, and it was still the week of our 10-year anniversary. So I was like, oh, like I'm sure she's just sending something. Meanwhile, Adam obviously on the back end is like freaking out, and he's like messaging Megan being like, oh my God, send champagne to the room. Like we've almost been made. Like it was like very funny. But again, I'm like leaning into the process. And I had said even to Adam after the fact, I was like, I didn't want anything spoiled if something was going to happen. So like I wasn't checking his location all week, which I'm glad about, because he was telling me he like drove to the jewelers a couple times. I wasn't checking my friends' locations, which I found out that they had all blocked me on Find My Friends because they obviously all ended up in Quebec to surprise me. Anyway, so it was just funny. Like I was leaning into like the magic of it, if that makes sense. So by that point we have this like spa on the itinerary, and I'm like, oh, beautiful couples massage, like the Fairmont is spoiling us. So I still think I'm on a press trip. So I go on this like couples massage and I'm vibing out, and then we go back to the room to get ready for this like brand shoot. We have like an hour scheduled between after the spa, and then it's like get ready for brand shoot, and then we meet the photographer in the lobby for this like Fairmont, meant to be Fairmont brand shoot, like for the hotel for their like Christmas like collection or whatever. And so I go to like take the elevator after the spa, and Adam's like, my God, like it's just such an old hotel. Like I feel like we should take the stairs. And I was like, take the stairs? Like in fairness, we were only like a floor away from our room, but I was like, what? He's like, yeah, it's such an old hotel. Like I don't want to get caught on the elevator. And I was like, all right, like whatever. Again, leaning into the magic. I was like, I'll follow you. Like if we're going to take the stairs, we take the stairs. So we take the stairs. Of course, I find out later he was just terrified because all my friends and family at that point were like arriving at the Fairmont. And he was like so terrified that we would get on an elevator and like one of my best friends would be standing there, or like my parents would be standing there, or like whatever. So they were all just like stressed and overwhelmed and like trying to make sure that like they weren't going to run into us in what is an overall small hotel. And there was like 20 friends and family around. So anything was possible. Luckily, we didn't run into anyone. We go back to the room. I get ready. And as I'm getting ready, he's like playing all my like old like favorite songs. Like I'm like, obviously like the hints are like there. Like I'm like, okay, like he's seeming a bit nervous. He had picked out my outfit the night before when we were in Toronto, being like, I think you should wear winter whites, which is like, again, very like Adam, like that wasn't such a weird throw, like very like Kanye before Kanye went crazy, like in the sense that he has good taste and is like kind of creative that way, and would be like, hey Kim, like wear this, like, so it wasn't weird that he was like saying it to me, but obviously there's like small little like flags. And then we go to meet the photographer to start taking these branded photos. And he's like holding his jacket really tightly. I'm like, okay, like I think something is like happening here, but they're like really making me work for it. So at this point, I'm like, I'm almost confused. Like the photographer's like, hi, nice to meet you. Like I'm like posing. I'm like giving looks. I'm like leaning on the elevator, giving this woman like so much content. And I'm like, okay, like I'm like, I guess I'm just in a photo shoot. So like every time I thought I like was like hitting a wall or something would happen, there was like, they would spin it around and I would be doing something else. So I was like, all right. So I'm like posing for Kathy, who by the way was like incredible. Adam found her on Instagram and she was like local to Quebec photographer, but like so amazing. And we loved her and she had amazing vibes and was just so cute. She obviously was in on all of this. Anyway, finally an hour after me literally like sweating, I'm like, okay, I'm getting my poses. I'm working it. Adam's like, okay, like there's one, she's like, oh, there's one final location at the top, like by the piano, like let's go up. And it's kind of this like tucked away, like private little area, kind of like almost blocked off actually, like it wasn't open to like other hotel guests. And Adam had gotten permission from the hotel to like put out like little candles and petals and like all that stuff. And so he had it all organized. And like, this is where like the French translation is so funny. Cause like we start to go up and one of the like employees, I guess, thought the engagement had already happened. So she was cleaning it up. Like she was just like, and then our photographer, who's also super French, starts like screaming at the woman. And I speak French, but like not like Quebecois, like really fast. And she starts like screaming at her really quickly. I guess she was just being like, oh my God, drop what you're doing. Like the engagement has not happened. Like, what are you doing? Like leave. So it was really funny. And like, I can sense like Adam's kind of panicked, whatever. They kind of pull me to the side to distract me once more and make me pose again in another little area. I'm like, Jesus Christ, like the photos never end. Like, this is hilarious. At this point, I'm like, I'm just ready to go have a drink. Like I'm just working out here. And then finally we go back to like that cute little area, and then I turn around and Adam was on one knee. So I was like, oh my God. Part of it was just like euphoric, like happiness, like, and like a sense of relief, but then also like I can sense his nervousness. So I'm like trying to be all excited. It's a very overwhelming feeling. And I guess everyone would be very different in this situation. Maybe it's a bit fight or flight vibes, but like I felt just very like peaceful, happy, like excited, like shaky, but I wasn't like crying. And it was funny because I had friends and family betting on if I was going to like break down crying or not. And half of them said I would and half of them said I wouldn't. I didn't. I was just very like, yeah, it just kind of felt like I was like buzzing. Like it was a very euphoric, like wonderful feeling. And we were both just like overwhelmed and then Kathy was like really great and like calmed us down and got some like amazing, just like organic photos of us, like kind of like basking in this like beautiful moment. And she was so cute. And she's like, okay, well now I want to take you guys down to your favorite bar. So you can have a glass of champagne to celebrate and I'll get a little photo of you guys like cheersing. So again, like literally they thought of every detail to just like, again, throw me off from every surprise. So we go down the stairs and we end up in the bar area. And I kind of like turn a corner and go into this little private area. And all of my friends and family jump out and like scream and surprise. And like, again, so overwhelming. There was like 20 of them, like all my parents' siblings, Adam's parents' siblings. Like it was just like so amazing. Just like, honestly, yeah, one of the happiest moments ever, just seeing everybody and being able to celebrate right immediately after was just such a gift. And I had said to Adam too, like, it really was the perfect combo. And I know everyone has different expectations of like what they want. And I think having the proposal be private, like just a private moment with us, was really nice because I can so see how overwhelming that would be if it was like a very public moment. Like if all my friends and family were there when he did it, I think I would have found that almost, there's a world where that would have been too overwhelming. So it was very special that just like that intimate moment like existed for us. And like obviously Kathy was a part of it. She was beautiful and just like kind of tried to be a fly on the wall and like taking photos. And then moments later being able to be surprised by everyone and then spend it with friends and family. So it was like really the perfect combo. And like I said, like Adam and I had not talked too deeply about my wishes because like I said, I really wanted it to come from him and be organic to what he wanted because I was really open to anything. Like ultimately it's like someone said something really good to me. They were like, an engagement should never be a surprise. And I was like, yeah, true. Like you shouldn't really actually be surprised that it's coming. It should be very in alignment and felt very, at least in my case, very like divine timing. Like we were really happy about like the 10-year like anniversary of it all and just like tying it all together in a pretty bow. So like, was I hopeful and excited that it would happen? Yes. Was I surprised that it happened? Like, no. And I think that that's like a nice way to think about it. I thought that was like a nice sentiment. Cause like, yeah, you don't want to be so surprised that like you say no, cause I know of stories like that and like, that's scary. So, anyway, all that to say, then the night went swimmingly well. We celebrated with beautiful champagne, went for a stunning dinner, Italian dinner, and everyone just had such a ball. And then we couldn't have written it better, but we ended up all sliding into an Irish pub. And there was a live performer there that night. And one of the first, or where Adam and I met was an Irish pub. And one of the first, or no, actually the first night we ever met, we danced at this Irish pub to like all this live singing and dancing. And like we danced together all night. And it was just, it's a very like clear memory in my mind. So literally we couldn't have paid for a more serendipitous evening or experience. We like run into this Irish pub and it's almost a bit like quiet when we first get in, but then we hear this guy singing in the back and we like go into this other section and our whole friends and family like took over this whole area. I was like dancing on the tables, like he was singing ABBA, like he was singing all of our iconic songs. And it was just so special. And like I said, I couldn't have paid for a more iconic or memorable night. The Guinness was flowing. My friends just had the best time. Friends and family alike, just everybody vibing and it was so magical, literally so perfect. Like no notes is the only way to put it. So of course we were wildly hungover the next day. I don't think we got home till like 3 a.m., but it was just an iconic evening. And we had a little breakfast with everyone, which was really fun too. Just kind of like break down the night before and kind of chat with everyone and, you know, have a Coca-Cola or two to just like reset the system. Like my friend at one point was like, I'm going to get a mimosa. No, I'm not. Like it was like that type of thing. It was like, we pushed it too hard, but in a good way. And then a lot of my friends were flying out that day, which was great. Like they all just flew in for the one night and our friends and family were staying for an extra evening to like enjoy Quebec and go for like a family dinner. So in that afternoon, we decided to do a secondary engagement photo shoot with Kathy because Adam was smart enough to book her for both days. And he knew that I would probably want some things that were like daytime photos. Cause like obviously the night before was very like just the moment that happened. It wasn't actually like posed engagement pics. So she was wonderful and she followed us around like old Quebec and we did like beautiful like village shots and with the castle and we like walked into the little town and through the village and just like got some really beautiful moments and captured kind of like the essence of the trip, which I was so happy about. And so excited to share those photos as well. And I recommend that because I'm excited now because it feels like now the work is done in the sense that we have all of these banks of photos to choose from that we can use for like engagement parties or like whatever, a wedding even, like who knows? But like it does feel like we've got now this nice bulk of like content from that moment that we can then leverage. This is the influencer head, probably me thinking like you guys are like, yeah, I don't care about having a secondary photo shoot. But like I was so grateful that Adam thought about those things because again, I was nor here nor there when it came to the planning at all. So it was just really nice that he like had that in mind and like we got this additional little piece of content out of it, which was just really thoughtful. Then we got stuck in Quebec, which was like a little bit of a drag, if I'm being honest, because like, you know, you've had this like euphoric, iconic weekend. All the friends and family are together. We have this beautiful dinner and then we try to fly out the next morning. And because it snowed in Toronto, like this is just so classic, right? It's like one bad drop of snow in Toronto and like everything goes to shit. And particularly for those like smaller planes, like the prop planes. Anyway, we got stuck a whole other day. We were kind of in this like storm in Quebec. It didn't put a damper on the weekend because like obviously it was such a dream weekend. It just was like an extra detail that I was like, oh, of course, like nothing's ever going to be perfect. And we ended up like staying an extra night at the Fairmont. And it was really funny because the hotel had upgraded us to the Celine Dion suite when we first checked in, which is I guess like her suite. Like there, she goes to the Frontenac a lot and it's gorgeous. It's like a 2-bedroom, like really stunning, overlooks the water suite. So we were there for the first night, like the engagement night, and then the second night. And then when we got stuck, we obviously like the airline gave us credit to go back to like the hotel and recheck in. So we just like checked into like, you know, a very standard classic room. And I walk in, I'm like, this is not the Celine Dion suite. Like it was like such a fall from grace from like our like opulent, beautiful suite to like, oh God, we're like on the second floor, like right beside the elevator. Like it was just a really funny, like, you know, you have your princess moment and then you're like, welcome back to reality. Yeah. So that was really funny. Anyways, we got home the next day and yeah, like the celebrations with everyone just kind of continued. And it was so nice to like then see my Toronto friends and see people I didn't get to see in Quebec. So very grateful. That's kind of like the full lore of the engagement, the beautiful ring. It's like stunning and I love it. And it was funny because I've had a lot of friends try it on since, and I had friends over last night and they were playing with it and they were like, we feel like this is like the sisterhood of the traveling ring. Like anyone can try it on. It looks good on everyone. It's like very evergreen, which I think is great because it basically means it's timeless and iconic. So I'll take it. As for next steps, I guess this is where I can leave you guys today. Wedding ideas, looking ahead. Listen, I'm not one of those brides that got engaged and then immediately was like, here is my next 6-month plan of like where we're headed and all my ideas and what I'd like to execute on. Like, that's just like not my vibe. I got nothing. I really have nothing. We've talked very high level about what we want. And I'm just very clear bride-wise what I want to be, which is like not a bridezilla. I just want to focus on like having fun with friends and family and creating epic memories and like beautiful pics, like similar to the engagement night. Like if that happens the same way for the wedding, that's beyond and just like everything I would dream of. I think like we talked about this and funnily enough, I think in the 10-year anniversary episode, but just like there's a lot of culture now around wedding and spend and, opulence and like what is expected of weddings. And I don't want to like fall into a trap or like buy into it too deeply. I just want to enjoy the sparkly time, but I don't want to get like eaten by it, if that makes any sense. Like I just want to like stay above water, be very clear about like what it's about, which is like the union of Adam and I, and like that's exciting and fun. I don't want it to turn into this like actual circus, which it can often feel like when, brides get a little ahead of themselves. So I just want to be cautious of that. But yeah, super high level. I think like we've always dreamed about Poland and a castle, not me being like, so I'm going to be really chill. So it's going to be in a castle in Poland. Like perfect. But no, I also say that because like also our dollar goes so much further in Poland because of the conversion, which is amazing. So like we've really thought of everything in terms of like keeping it affordable for people and making sure that it really just just is what it's about, which is love and fun and good vibes. And then finally, just The Bachelorette is the only thing I've really ever given thought to. And I've always ideated, and I don't even know if I said this on the pod. I'd love to go back and see if I talked about this on my Torchella episode, but I always ideated that my 30th birthday would be my Bachelorette trip. And so Torchella this year is going to be my 30th, but also potentially the Bachelorette. So like high level, that sounds fabulous. In practice, I don't know what that will look like. I think we want to go somewhere. Like my dream was always Ibiza. I don't know how you say it, but like we've talked about that. I'm just trying to like have some fun in the sun, get down with my girls. But ideas are floating. Italy, Spain, I'm not sure. But Torchella, 30th August, Bachelorette, be there, be square. That's what's coming down the pipeline. Not me being more like aligned with the Bachelorette than the actual wedding. It just feels like the wedding can feel so like so many jobs, so much to do. Like, I'm just like, whatever. I think I'm going to let Adam take the lead on a lot of it, knowing how great he was with the engagement. And I see his perfectionism come out and his creative taste. And he's so fabulous at that stuff. I'm like, how about you plan the wedding and I will go party in Ibiza? All that being said, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I hope you enjoyed the behind the scenes of all of the magic that we experienced and all the fun. If you did enjoy this episode, please share it with a friend because I am actively loving the pod and trying to grow the pod. So it would mean the world to me. And I will see you in the next one. Love you. Mean it. Bye.